Mr. Joe Satriani, welcome to LINEAROCK.
Thank you. So good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Such a pleasure. Thanks for the honor and for your time. I know you've been doing a lot of interviews today. We're the last one, so I hope this is going to be the best.
Yes, it will be. It will be.
Okay, thanks. So 35 years ago, we were surfing with the alien, and now here they come, the elephants of Mars. 19th studio album for you. What's the spark behind the inspiration of the title and the cover artwork, which are very, very particular and seem, here to remind us all right away that you are absolutely not of this earth, that your talent, is like an alien.
Thank you. This song and the title track, they got their start because I'd come up with this piece of music that reminded me of some kind of gigantic alien elephant kind of thing. Couldn't really explain it with words, but there it was, this really great sound. And so I wrote this whole song around it, and I sent it off to my producer, who had said, send me everything that you've got, no matter how weird it is. So I sent him a song. It wasn't too long at the time. He really loved it. And then we started putting some things on top of it. And I thought, what really has to make this song work is there needs to be a story behind it. So I started imagining a science fiction epic tale about Earth scientists terraforming the planet Mars, and everything goes great, except what they don't realize is that they also created, by accident, a race of gigantic sentient elephants that can not only think like super intelligent humans, but can also play this incredible music, and they can communicate telepathically with the new Earthlings that are living on Mars now, the colonists there. Together, the colonists, led by a guitar-playing hero, of course, and the elephants, they get together to take control of Mars, to keep it a beautiful, pristine planet. The evil corporations of Earth, of course, they just want to take all the raw materials out of the planet for their own profit back on Earth. So there's this epic battle that gets created to save Mars, but at the beginning of it, it really starts with these incredible new creatures, these new elephants from Mars, and their incredible abilities. So once I had that story, it got me inspired about how to play. And then when I told the other guys in the band about it, that also got them excited. We all laughed a lot, of course, because it's a funny story. But it also got everybody excited about how to play. And that's a really important thing to have, is a good meaning. Because generally, if a song has got lyrics, everybody in the band can look at the meaning of the song and they can say, okay, I know what the song's about and how it should play. So it's good to have a good story behind an instrumental.
Yeah, fantastic. And why orange and purple are the main colors? And actually, they're also, the vinyl edition colors beside the black one. And tell us also more about the art cards that are going to come with the Digipack CD, which are inspired by the songs, actually. Each side of each card is inspired by one of the songs, right?
That's right, yeah. Well, I've been working with artist Todd Galoppo for many years now. He runs an art studio called Meat and Potatoes down in Burbank, California.
Yeah.
And I met Todd when he was coming up with the Chickenfoot logo and designed all the packages for the Chickenfoot albums. He'd been working with Sammy Hagar for his Cabo Wabo campaigns, and he does not only musical artists, but he also does artwork for campaigns for all kinds of manufacturers of food products and clothing and cosmetics and things like that. Full service company, Meat and Potatoes is. But at the heart of it, of course, is Todd, who's a great artist who loves to use his hands when constructing things. Like my album cover for What Happens Next, he actually built the room full of mirrors that he stuck me in for about 4 or 5 hours, and had the photographer take all these distorted pictures of me. It looks like Photoshop, but it's actually a real thing that he put together. So when we started working on this project, we knew that we had to work with some kind of red-orange color. It's very often called the red planet, but it's actually more like an orange planet. So yeah, we thought about that, and he had photographed my orange guitar a few albums back for Unstoppable Momentum. And so we started talking about colors that we thought were really unused, and colors that were really beautiful, and colors that not only would complement each other, but also the story. So that got us sort of pointed in the right direction. But I don't think it was until I sent him a rough mix of the song, The Elephants of Mars, that he quickly got it all together. And he kind of explains it in the videos that we've been releasing on our sites, about how he had a Chickenfoot guitar hanging on the wall, and he was looking at it and trying to figure out, how can I get these guitar parts to look like elephant parts? Yeah. And that's how he came up with this logo. But I guess the main thing was, I told him I don't really want to be on the cover. And, that was something that we've done so much. And, for a solo artist, there's only so many ways you can appear on your cover. I mean, you can look straight ahead, you can look like this or like that. And sometimes we cut part of my head off or put me in a room full of mirrors or something. And it gets boring after a while. So I said, how about just forget about me? We'll stick me on the inside. So all those things, I think, came together in a wonderful synergy. And of course, Todd's creative mind is really fabulous. And he came up with something simple that works really small, like on a guitar pick, but also would look great as a gigantic poster. And
really looks like an elephant. It's impressive. It is.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. And then the inside package, of course, he was explaining how we were going to do a photo session, but we had some lockdown problems here in California. And I wound up doing some photos in my doctor's old apartment, where he had, he's a photographer as well as being our family doctor. And he had converted his apartment into a very clean environment. And he promised that he could do the photo session in under an hour. So we'd all go in there, quickly take off our masks and get photographed and run out. But before we left, he said, what do you think about this funny backpack I have? Usually he runs a charity for disaster medicine, and he's actually on his way to Ukraine right now to aid in helping the refugees. And he's got these backpacks that are waterproof and they hold medical supplies. So it just happened to be sitting on the floor there. And he said, how about you wearing this backpack like it's some sort of, Mars oxygen tank thing? And we were kind of joking, and we took just a couple of photographs with it. But when Todd the photographs, he said, no, we have to use that because it kind of looks like some kind of modern astronaut, Mars colonist accessory. And it was the right color. So yeah, there's always luck involved when you're making these things. And
those are the photos that you used in the art cards, actually.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Those are okay. Oh, fantastic. And do you think, Joe, that the pandemic and being forced to stop some of your normal activities give an extra appetite to your inspiration this time, to raise the bar a little bit, music-wise, and also reflecting on things? We had so much to reflect on in the past 2 years, actually. So yeah, there's certainly so much turmoil and tragedy, on a humanitarian scale. And also, I know we've all known people who have passed away or been very ill because of the virus. And we've suffered, certainly music industry has been devastated by the inability to work.
especially bands who tour as a way of making their living.
Sure.
I think that creatively slowing down was something that I decided to use in a positive way. And being forced to record alone was also something that I needed to take advantage of. I needed to see the positive side of, being left alone to record and write all my parts. It's important to note that usually when we make an album, we have a very strict budget to adhere to. We have to show up at a certain time and get work done within a certain framework. We only have, let's say, maybe 10 days with the whole band, and you're renting a studio. So every hour is extremely expensive for the artist. Since I'm a solo artist, it's entirely my economic burden when I rent a studio and invite musicians in. And the record company generally is hoping to receive the album at a certain date. So there's a lot of pressure to move fast, and you make these compromises artistically because you have to. This time around, I realized, well, I don't have to deliver this record at any particular date. There's no clock on the wall forcing me to record at any particular time. I don't have to rush. I don't have to compromise. So it's kind of an interesting pressure, because I realized this is the moment where I have to force myself to write better, arrange better, play better, and I have no excuse. I can't say he made me do it or they made me stop. It's like I have to actually deliver. Once I embraced that, and I really did love it. I liked being left alone, not being made fun of by the band when I made mistakes or something like that. And also being able to be more emotional, because sometimes you're in a studio with a lot of people and you need to play a sad song and get into a sad state of mind, but you feel self-conscious because there's people around. But each feeling that I had to inhabit on, alone in the studio, I could do it 100% without feeling self-conscious at all. And once I was delivering these powerful performances, I could talk to the other band members just like I'm talking to you now, and I could say, hey, guess what? Take your time, because everybody was their parts alone. And so I said, feel free to experiment until you feel that your performance is what you really want to hear. And then we'll assemble it all together and we'll pick the best performances. So it really wound up creating this very special record.
And I read that the song Faceless was in particular inspired by this, being alone in the studio, this method that about loneliness, in a sense. Is that correct? And also being alone, you have to be able to do also a lot of other stuff apart from playing, because you have also to record and being able to mix and then do all the stuff. So no pressure at all?
There's always pressure, but I think it's the pressure we give ourselves is the biggest, and because you don't want to disappoint yourself, you want the final recording to be the best version of what you felt inside. And it is the hardest thing, I think, is to bring your emotion to your performance so that it's so strong that a stranger would listen to it the first time and feel it. I mean, that's what we're trying to achieve. So I was thinking, I think I was influenced by, as you said, just working alone. And also when I would go out and we were all faceless, everyone was wearing a mask. And I started to think that in a way, this happens a lot in our lives, where perhaps the one person that you want to see who you are, the real you, for some reason can't. You can't get the real you to reach out to this person, so you become faceless to them. Or perhaps your whole family, your friends, your community maybe the whole world. You feel like a stranger on the planet Earth, and you feel like they're not seeing that you're a unique person. They're seeing you as just a faceless human being. And I thought that's a really special kind of loneliness, a terrible feeling. And so that's what that song was really about, was sort of somebody crying out to be recognized for the beauty they have inside.
Right. And how do the music and the titles you choose for your instrumental pieces mingle in your inspiration? What comes first? Is there any rule? And, is it difficult sometimes to express in words those emotions, those, music emotions that you have?
Oh, certainly. Very often when I get inspired to write a piece of music, the title and like a little movie in my head and the sound of the chords and the melody all come at once. And I'm in a rush to get it all down. So I'll write down, a title. It might be longer than what the finished title is. And sometimes I'll write a description, or I'll make a drawing. And I quickly try to record it, write down any notation to make sure that I don't forget the original inspiration behind the music. And some things are quite simple. The song Sahara was very simple because it was about this person who felt lost inside and found themselves lost outside as well. And so they may as well be in the Saharan desert, but even though they were actually in an urban setting. But it was an artistic license for that character to think that they were alone in a desolate area, And so that was kind of simple. We talked about the Elephants of Mars, how the sound came first and then the title and then the story.
Yeah.
But then there are, some songs are very complicated, but they need a simple title. And so a song like Desolation is a simple title for a very heartbreaking kind of a song. But and then a song like Bluefoot Groovy doesn't mean anything. And the idea behind the song is just about a feeling. It's just about feeling good. So, sometimes I write very complicated emotional songs, but I also like writing very upbeat, happy, fun songs that don't need to have any deep meaning. They're just there to make you feel good. I like that. I like being able to not discriminate against any particular feeling, and musically the same way. If it's good, then it doesn't matter if it's simple or complicated. Good is good.
I'm glad you mentioned Bluefoot Groovy is one of my favorites now. So it's
great.
Great song. And about True Mother's Day, Darkly, is that your voice in it?
No, that's my writing partner here. I've got, Ned Evett and we write science fiction stories, and we came up with the Chrystal Planet comic book series. And Ned is a fantastic voiceover artist. He's really amazing. He's also a great singer, guitar player, solo artist. And we've known each other for over 20 years. We've written maybe 25 stories together. Yeah. And on tour together. We actually last year wrote an album together. We've got it all recorded in demo form. But oddly enough, that song, I have to tell you, it's funny how it works out. I came up with the title, I recorded the song, and I sent it to the guys in the band as a kind of a Mother's Day audio greeting card, And they liked it, so they communicated back to me that we should put it on the album. So I thought, okay, I'll take another look at it. And I sort of fixed it up a little bit, adding some other guitars here and there. And then Eric added all the orchestration in it. And then it was Eric's idea to call Ned to find out if Ned would do some sort of Chrystal Planet narrative over the top.
Okay.
So Ned added his voice. And then when I heard that, for some reason, I thought it just needs like a blues guitar, like in the beginning, just to sort of make you think like orchestra, blues guitar, Ned, and then the heavy guitar comes in. I just thought that would be super cinematic, you know. So yeah, it's funny how those things happen. And the title, you know, has to do with the fact that one of my favorite sci-fi movies, Through a Scanner Darkly, borrows that phrase from the famous British novel.
Yeah.
So looking through a glass darkly. So
sure.
Yeah, lots of tips of the hat, so to speak, to former works of art in that one.
Since you mentioned, you know, those science fiction stories for Chrystal Planet Comics, so that confirms that you do express yourselves very well in words too. But why in music has it been, you know, more difficult process for you, or it never quite became a sort of urgency for you to express yourself in words through your music?
Oh, I think I've tried over the years, and certainly when I started working with Sammy Hagar and Chickenfoot, I realized that you know, that lead singers have a very unique gift in being able to simplify lyrics in the hopes that they're going to be able to communicate as easily as possible the feeling behind the song. And sometimes they use words that are easy to understand, and sometimes they're mysterious in how they communicate this, but there's an art form to it. And you know, I would bring songs into Sam, and we would, you know, I'd have lyrics and we'd work on them, and I could see him edit things down or completely throw them out and come up with his own idea. And I thought, wow, that's a special talent. I really don't have that talent, but Sammy definitely does, you know. And something that I've noticed that, you know, when you look back at like somebody like John Lennon, he's certainly written songs that were simple, and he's also written songs where there's a lot of words, a lot of lyrical content. So it's not about the amount. It really is about the artistry of being able to write lyrics well, you know. And I really think it's just a crazy turn of events that I was given the opportunity to make instrumental albums when I didn't start out thinking I wanted to. I always wanted to just be in a rock band, you know. I wanted to be like Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin, and but somehow I wound up being the instrumental guitarist, which is great. But
and is it true that Sahara was originally written with lyrics? Is that correct?
Yeah. I had everything. I had the demo. The guitars were all finished, and I sent everything off to the band, and especially to Ray, my keyboard player, who's a brilliant singer in the band Thirsty Merc. And I think I can say today that I think I just scared everybody because maybe the lyrics weren't that good. or maybe Ray, who's a real singer, probably thought, well, how does a singer sing those lyrics? There's like too many words. And but I had this vision, you know, that like the movie in my head was like John Lennon, Kurt Cobain kind of singing, but Jared Leto in the movie playing the character. And, you know, I tried to explain it, but I think it was just too much. I think I overwhelmed everybody.
And the Sahara video was directed by your son, ZZ Satriani, who chose actually the silver screen as an artistic path for himself. That is a collaboration that didn't come immediate for him to work with you together. He wanted to find his own way, avoiding, you know, to be in the shadow of his daddy, such a famous daddy. How did you live that?
Oh, well, you know, we're a pretty unusual family in that, you know, Zizi's parents are, you know, artists, and so we included Zizi in on everything from the beginning. He started touring with us when he was 4 years old, and he was always around all of us, the band, the crew, management. He traveled the world with us many years, and he's really an accomplished musician, but I don't think he ever felt the need to, try to become a professional guitar player. It wasn't as interesting to him as film and art. So he wound up getting degrees in studio art and film production in college. And we started working, I think when he was about 10 years old, he started doing podcasts for us because he was always making skateboard films. And then he eventually did a documentary for us, which is actually, you can pre-order it now on iTunes. And it's called Beyond the Supernova. We had a theatrical release, fantastic, crazy look at, behind the scenes of his dad touring and making records and trying to come up with a new album and coming to grips with alter ego and stage fright and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
And we've done lots of videos together. 1980 video was really a fun one we did right before the pandemic. We were so lucky we got that done. And of course we did the illustrated one for Yesterday, but we had to do that remotely because it was right at the height of the lockdowns. And he did the Sahara video, and of course he just handed in the Elephants of Mars video, which is so crazy. I mean, you are going to flip out when you see this video. There is nothing like it. He really outdid himself for the title tracks video. It's real. I just can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah. Okay. So according to many, including myself, among the virtuoso guitar players, you are the most musical and melodic of them all.
Thank you.
Is this like a natural instinct for you? Just like, sort of Eddie Van Halen, because also he was like a game changer, but he was in the service of the song totally. So Is that actually the approach you have?
Yes. I'm reminded of that every day because I always keep my Frankie guitar close by.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, I can't play like Eddie, but I play the songs. I'm reminded just how brilliant he was. I've always been a lover of great melody, whether I was listening to classical music or jazz or rock music. I like things to be memorable, and even like talking about Eddie, even when he was showing off and putting on a good show, he still played stuff that was very memorable. It didn't sound like practicing or showing off.
Sure.
Somehow it was always really, it came from his heart, and because that's the kind of person he was. I've always felt that my strength is being able to transmit feelings through the guitar using unusual harmonies and really strong melodies. So I've always focused on that. And guitar playing has not been as easy for me as it is for most of my guitar playing friends. I happen to be really close friends with guys who are so annoying because they play so easily, so well. And I've had to stand next to Steve Vai and John Petrucci, and it's like, oh my God, But so they remind me that I need to continually practice, which I still do.
And you started as a guitar teacher, actually. That changed also, in a sense, your approach to your career, being maybe always, technically minded or in competition or something like that, or not?
No. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. I think the one thing you learn when you teach, especially if you're teaching guitar to a lot of young kids like I was, is that there's no end to unbelievably talented young people that come along every single day. Uh-huh. And the one thing you don't want to do is to somehow make them less original. So when Kirk Hammett came in as a young kid who already could play guitar quite well, I had to, just focus on giving him information, but not affecting his style, because he was about to change the world with, with the way that he played guitar. He and Metallica, he was in Exodus at the time, and then during the course of our lessons, he got the gig with Metallica. I could see how important it was, and how important it was for me not to change his style, but to help him achieve what he thought was cool. And it was the same with Larry Lalonde or Steve Vai or, Charlie Hunter.
Andy Timmons.
I never taught Andy Timmons. No. I love Andy Timmons. Andy Timmons has a new solo record out, so it's really, really brilliant. But no, Andy grew up in Texas. I grew up in New York. We never met until we were grown-ups.
And about G3, Guitar Extravaganza, on this matter, has that been like a training ground for you through the years to constantly, keep in shape and maybe challenge yourself in that situation? Or it was, it's just, the sublime, pure celebration of the guitar on a stage?
It's both. I mean, you said it correctly. It's really both of those things, because we really do love the challenge. I can say, because I know Steve so well, and we were speaking yesterday, we love that we have each other to challenge each other about what we're doing. We very often will very secretly work on new records, and then before we send them to the record company, we send them to each other, and we say, what do you think? and we want a really good critique from each other, because we're excited about what we do and what each of us are developing. And it's a good way to keep us really focused on trying to be the best that we can be. We always know that we have each other as best friends to push each other to excel as much as we can. We don't want to disappoint each other, you know what I mean? Of course, we want to impress the fans, but it's very important that we impress each other. And so when you get on stage with players at a G3 concert, you really do have to be ready, because some of these guys, they play stuff that is so amazing, and you want to jump in and be just as good, So it's a healthy competition.
Yeah, Steve just came out with a great album as well. I spoke to him, and it's quite amazing that you both have Italian origins, and you are two amazing guitarists. Did you ever speak about that? What do you think, Joe, that you have, running in your blood or by your DNA, which is the typical Italian?
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. We grew up in an area on Long Island where there was a lot of Italian culture. And so we definitely relate to each other. And we certainly have quite a few other Italian brothers there on Long Island, like John Petrucci as well. Yeah. And it's really kind of funny in a way, because when you grow up in America, there's, a large part of your identity is actually American. And then there's this other component. Most kids have parents who come from all over the world, and the deeper you look into your DNA, you find out you're kind of mixed up. You're an interesting pedigree if you start going back hundreds of years. So we've always had that American Italian heritage that we can rely on for memories of good food, wonderful family gatherings, funny jokes, and that New York Italian attitude.
Yeah. Okay. Your father is from Piacenza, correct? And your mother from Bari. Okay, so some of from the north, some from the south. So a good mix. Okay, great.
I think actually my grandparents never really spoke to each other. There was something between the two of them, the north south. They didn't really. I never understood that when I was a young kid, but that happens in any country, I guess.
Yeah, that's typical. Okay, last two questions. You mentioned Chickenfoot. Will we ever see you back together again? Don't forget, you still owe to us album number 2, because you've done the first, you've done Chickenfoot 3, so we missed the second one.
Yeah. I hope so. We are still one big happy family, and we communicate all the time to each other. And I think that, Sammy's got a new album coming out in a few months with The Circle, a really good album. And we know that Chad with the Chili Peppers, they've already started releasing stuff from their new album. They'll be on tour. And of course, I've got my new record coming out. So we're really busy right now. So I wouldn't imagine that we'd find time this year, but hopefully next year there might be some time. And, you have to be ready. So I'm always writing like songs that could work in Chickenfoot, and I keep them in a special spot, because I know any moment Sam might call me up and say, "Can you come to the studio in 3 hours and bring some songs?" So
yeah, and you have Kenny with you, which stepped in for Chad. So the two of you are already together. So it's like half of the band.
It really is great. Kenny is such an amazing drummer and such a wonderful person. Yeah, either way, either was Kenny or Chad, it would be wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. And which surprises can we expect from the next tour, which will pass to Italy as well in April, May 2023? For 6 shows, you'll be playing Bologna, Napoli, Lecce, Firenze, Roma, and Milano. So can you tell us something in advance? Okay, it's 1 year, but did you already, you have the US tour coming up, so so you have the idea on how the elephants will be involved in the show? And Mars, of course.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah, if we could lasso Mars and bring some elephants. That sounds very expensive, though. A tour manager would be very upset. That's for sure. Well, I think the biggest, thing that I'm so excited about is that it's a new band, new rhythm section, and we have Brian Beller coming back to the band. And Kenny, I toured with Kenny and made a record with him in 2019, but Brian was off with the Aristocrats. So now I've got Brian from the earlier band and Kenny from the later band. And then we've got a brand new keyboard player, Ray Thistlethwaite, from the band Thirsty Merc in Australia. Okay. And Ray sings amazing, plays guitar amazing, and is just a freak amazing keyboard player. I'm so excited about having him in the band. And so this will be something really new. We're going to try to put together a show unlike what we've done before, because we really do want to come back to finally see our fans after all these years and give them something special.
Okay, very, very last thing. 15 Grammy nominations you had. Yeah. Can that, change a life and a career in a sense? Talking again about pressure, but you had a lot of recognition, and Joe Satriani name, when it comes up, it's like, super talented artist. So, and you had also that recognition of the Grammy nominations. So is that something that you live easily, or how do you live that?
Oh, it has no effect on how I play or how I write. And it's got no effect on whether or not my fans like the music. So it's just a nice sort of extra thing, to know that the people that are part of the Grammy organization are listening. That's really great. Yeah. The winning of the award doesn't really have any impact whatsoever. I think if you thought that it did, that would be sort of a psychological problem you have to work out, because that actually means nothing. But at the same time, it's a plus that if someone gives you a gift, you accept it. So, I don't know. I don't think about it at all. The most important things are pretty well ordered in my mind, which is, you have to feel good about yourself, about being an artist, that you're creating good work and you're creating truthful work and putting on, making great recordings and putting on a good show for your fans. And the second thing is that you get recognition from your fans, and they're coming to see you when you play concerts, and they're listening to you, streaming your record or buying your whatever physical product they're making at the moment. Those are the things that matter completely. Yeah. Everything else is, maybe having your friend Steve Vai say you like your record is important too.
Okay. Thanks very much, Joe, for your time. Thanks for the quotes. Thanks for the music, always. Can't wait to see you back on a stage also here in Italy. And we're closing this interview with Faceless, the songs that we already talked about. Do you want to introduce it for us?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, all my fans in Italy, for listening to my music. This is a song from my new album. It's called Faceless.
Grazie, Joe. Thanks very much. Ciao.
Grazie. All right, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Take
See
care.
you. Ciao. You too. Grazie.